what's up? It's Karen San Diego, and today's video is all about VSG pros and cons. Whether it be here on YouTube or on Instagram, I get a lot of people that are new to this journey and are just trying to figure out if this is the right choice for them. They are questioning themselves, and they ask me about like what were my pros and cons. So I thought this would be a great video to do to help those of you out who are kind of on the fence and not sure this is the right choice for you. Here is all of my pros and cons. Y'all want the good news first or the bad news first? Instead of overwhelming you with a bunch of cons and giving you the bad news first, or overwhelming you with the good stuff and then having you wait for the bad stuff, I'm going to give you my cons and my pros. So I'm going to give you a con and then match it with a pro right at the same time. I have an even list of pros and cons. So for every con, I'm going to give you a pro to just kind of balance it out. We don't want no negativity around here, although we will be honest. We will be honest in a way that gives you a level-headed view on what this surgery is really like. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So my first con that I have on my list is going to sound kind of weird because you're going to be like, girl, that's a con. But yes, it's a con. And that is no more binge eating. So the reason this sounds weird is because you're probably like, binge eating is what we don't want to do. That's a pro that you can't binge eat. And you're right. However, for a lot of people, including myself, binge eating was a way of comfort, right? So when you're struggling with something mentally, for me, eating was a way that I dealt with my emotions, whether it was positive emotions or negative emotions. If I was really sad, I would eat something comforting, some comfort food. If I was really happy, I would reward myself with food, with comfort food. And that was my way of kind of processing my emotions. So without having food as a form of comfort, now you have to find new ways to comfort yourself, which can be kind of difficult if you're accustomed to having this thing as your way to deal with difficult problems in your life, or to congratulate yourself for good things in your life. On the negative side, it's like something's happening. I can't comfort myself with food. So what do I turn to? And sometimes people may develop a different habit that may also be unhealthy, but they also may develop a healthy habit like going to the gym when frustrated. So it's about finding that thing that you're going to replace it with that's going to actually be good for you. On the other side of that, when you're used to rewarding yourself with food, then when you accomplish something, it's like, well, now I'm sad because I can't reward myself with macaroni and cheese. I have to find a different way to reward myself. And this can be difficult at first, especially when you're accustomed to managing your emotions with food. But that also kind of brings me into the pro. And the pro is actually going to be the same exact thing. It's no more binge eating. So the reason that this is a pro for me now is because I'm able to have like this accountability partner right in my stomach that is telling me, no, you can't do that. You cannot binge eat. Literally, you cannot do that because your stomach is this big and there isn't enough room in there to binge eat. So literally, I'm physically incapable of binge eating. Because of that now, I'm able to cope with my feelings in other ways. And then when I'm eating, instead of binge eating, I'm eating for survival. I'm eating foods that are going to help me. I'm not looking for food as fun. I'm looking to food as nourishment, which can still be fun. Don't get me wrong. You'll find ways to work around that. You'll find ways to enjoy the food that you are eating now. Whereas before, some fried food might have been more exciting, but now I'm thinking of how can I get my protein in? And I'm getting creative with it, and I'm still finding ways to make it delicious. I'm falling in love with vegetables. I'm doing things to make the little bit of food that I eat good for me, and still being able to be a foodie, but just a foodie who doesn't eat a lot of food. And it's like developing healthy habits with food now. Since I can't binge eat the food, I can still enjoy my food, but in a different way now, in a way that is not hurting me, is actually helping me and nourishing my body. So definitely a pro. Next on my list is one of the biggest fears, one of the most commonly asked questions that I get in my DMs is about stalls. So stalls are one of those huge cons associated with bariatric surgery as a whole. I don't even think this is just like a VSG thing. Although I heard it is a little less common with bypass, but definitely with bariatric surgery, stalls happen. And if you are new to the VSG world and you're like, what's a stall? A stall is basically a point where your weight just kind of stops. And this can last a week to weeks long. For me, the stall that I've experienced so far lasted 3 weeks. So it's a point where literally the scale does not move. So for me, I was like 249.5 pounds or something like that. And every single time I got on a scale for 3 weeks, it said 249.5. It never moved. Like literally the point 0.5. I don't know if it was exactly point 0.5, it was point something, point 0.8 or point 0.9 or whatever. But it literally never moved until it finally broke. So stalls happen. And the thing about stalls is the reason that they're a con here is because they can literally just mess the burps. They can literally just mess with your mental health because you're dieting. You're literally not eating as much food as you're supposed to eat. You're getting your protein in, you're taking your vitamins. You went through this insane surgery all to lose weight just to have the scale not move. And it can give you this feeling of like, oh my God, what did I do? And like, it's okay. You know, stalls happen. The way I've tried to rationalize this for myself is that if I literally did not have that 3 week stall and was losing weight as rapidly as I was in the beginning the entire time, I'd be like at my goal weight by now. And I'm 2 months post-op. So like if I was to reach my goal weight in 2 months, then where would I be in a year? I would literally just be a stick figure. I wouldn't exist, right? So weight has to come off in a somewhat healthy way. If you lost weight that rapidly, you would literally have an insane amount of loose skin. You'd probably be extremely vitamin deficient. It's just not healthy for you. So I consider stalls as a way to kind of just like slow it down and get your weight coming off in a healthier, like pace. It is still frustrating for me when it does happen. Like I haven't gotten on the scale since my 2 month check-in video. I have not gotten on the scale at all. And mostly just because like I get scared about the scale. So I rather check my progress in other ways, like trying on clothes that was too tight or trying on clothes that just fit before and seeing how loose they are now. That's my preferred way of checking my progress. Although I should get on the scale just to have some sort of like accurate, like, you know, number as far as how much I've lost. But I'll take my time with that because I know how it affects even with everything that I've just said to you and everything I'm aware of, it still negatively impacts me. So the scales is evil. So leave her over there. My pro to this is rapid weight loss. So even though you are hitting stalls, you're still losing weight at a way faster rate than you would if you did not have this surgery, right? So for me personally, I've lost, I think around like 40 something pounds at this point. It's been 2 months. Like there's no way I would have lost all of that weight on my own if it wasn't for this surgery, right? So that's rapid. It's happening fast. You're seeing the results quickly. And that's a pro. Even with hitting stalls, it is still a pro to see that number on that scale go down so fast. Your surgery is working. Once that stall breaks, the numbers go down pretty fast and then it kind of evens out again. So rapid weight loss, definitely 100% a pro to this surgery. And when I say rapid, I mean at a healthy pace for somebody who's had bariatric surgery. My next con is something that I've definitely experienced, and that's certain like mental health struggles related to this surgery. So I hear a lot of people talk about things like mood swings after surgery. That I can't say that I experienced. I feel like my mood is almost better now. However, one mental health struggle that I have dealt with, I am currently dealing with, is body dysmorphia. So with body dysmorphia, that's basically just when you don't see the weight loss. Like you look in the mirror and you still see the person you were at your highest weight, even though you know you have lost weight. Like I know that I have lost weight. I can feel my clothes fit me differently. But when I look in the mirror, I'm not seeing a me that is reflective of the way my clothes are fitting. I'm still seeing a me that is at 272 pounds. I'm not seeing the 226 pound me. So that can be frustrated at times because like I'm not seeing it. And that's not to say that I don't know that I've lost weight. I do, but sometimes I look in the mirror and I still feel like see myself as heavier and I still feel heavier and it makes me sad and it's a little bit depressing and I'm just being honest. That's how I feel about it. I do try to cope with that by just like trying on clothes all the time, to try to be able to like move my jeans and see that I've lost weight. but definitely body dysmorphia is something that is very common after surgery. So I'd look out for that if that's something that you've struggled with before. I know for me, I've lost a significant amount of weight before in the past. And when I lost weight then, I struggled with it then too. So I know this is something that is very familiar to me. My pro, which kind of sounds a little weird after just talking about body dysmorphia, but my pro is my confidence. So even though I look in the mirror and I don't always see the version of myself that I would like to see or that like other people tend to be able to see, I still do feel light years more confident than I did before surgery. And the reason for that is that even though when I look in the mirror, I don't always see this smaller version of me, I still pretty much see the old person. I am just presenting myself in a way that is much better than what I was doing before. For example, I'm wearing a pink shirt right now. I'm not someone who even wore color. I used to wear, my wardrobe consisted of black baggy shirts and leggings. Like I would wear like a big graphic tee and leggings, or a big graphic tee and some jeans that were like not tight, or a big graphic tee and or maybe like a sweater and some leggings or something like that. But just things that were very like loose fitting that would hide my body. Now I've been getting so much back into fashion and dressing in a way that makes me feel confident. So that has really just been amazing to be able to feel good about myself and my clothes. I'm like doing my makeup more often now. I'm like making sure my hair is done, accessorizing, and just carrying myself in a better way because I do feel more confident in myself. And that is 1,000% because of the surgery. So I'm so grateful to the surgery for allowing me to get back to feeling like myself again. Because I feel like at my heaviest, I was trapped in a body that just did not feel comfortable to me. It didn't feel familiar to me. And I'm getting back to feeling really good about myself. So my next con on my list is pain after surgery. So this one is a con, but it is very short-lived. For me, if you watched my 1 week post-op video, I talked about that for me, pain only really lasted about a week. And to be honest, of that week, the actual intense pain where I needed to take pain medication, that was just about 3 days. But let me tell you, that 3 days, that 3 days was an intense 3 days. Because I'm not somebody who even likes to take pain medication. When I had my daughter, I had a C-section. I took the pain medication in the hospital, but when I got home, I didn't take it. But for this, I took it. I took the pain medication for the first 3 days because the pain really was intense. This wasn't a pain that felt like a surgical body was cut open type of pain, like the C-section. This surgery is laparoscopic, so there's small incisions, which I didn't feel. The incisions weren't painful. What was painful was the gas. The gas was like a full body gas. It's not the kind of gas that you are accustomed to, like when your stomach is like gassy. It's gas that is like air that is just all over your body, because when they do the surgery laparoscopically, they pump your body full of air in order to make more room to do the surgery. And that air gets trapped in there once they close you up, and that causes gas pain. And it is intensely uncomfortable, extremely painful, however, very short-lived. Which brings me into my pro associated with this, which is that the surgery has a very quick recovery time. It's invasive because it's surgery, but it's also non-invasive because it's laparoscopic. So for this surgery, having that quick recovery time, literally it being just like a week, a few days, and you could be back on your feet, that is such a pro, especially if you're someone who can't take that much time off work. I did take a month off work just to fully get back to myself, but you could get back to work in like 2 weeks, a week and a half. If you have a job that requires you to just like sit all day, then yeah, you could, because this isn't a surgery that would put you in the bed for months. It's not that. The recovery time is very quick. So for that reason, I think that is a huge pro, because you can get this done and be back going about your day-to-day life very soon. My next con is specifically for parents, and that is that for the first month after surgery, you cannot lift your child. So that means that my daughter is 2. Burps. My daughter is 2, and when I had just got the surgery, she was still in her crib. If you follow me on Instagram, You'll know that like she has her big girl bed now. She's not in the crib anymore, so she gets in and out by herself. But right after surgery, she was still in her crib. So I was not able for a month to be able to pick her up and put her in the crib, which was part of our routine. Like we had a whole thing going on. I put her to bed every night, and I wasn't able to do that alone anymore for a month after surgery. Also, sometimes she'd be crying and wants me to pick her up, and I wasn't able to do that. And that was so heartbreaking to see her like reaching up for her mom and me not being able to pick her up. And this is where it was useful to have a supportive partner to be able to help me with that. My husband was there to pick her up and do all those things, put her to bed for me. So that was really useful. But for me, still, even with having the help, it was still hard for me as a mom to be able to see my child reaching for me and me not being able to comfort her, at least not through picking her up. What I could do was sit down and have her come onto me. But if you have a smaller child that can't do that, that may be a little bit difficult for you. So I would definitely talk to your doctor about when it would be okay to start lifting your child, depending on how old your child is. In that same light, for parents, a pro is having so much more energy to dedicate to playing with your child. I know for me before surgery, like going to the park with my daughter was not something that I enjoyed doing, honestly. And that's because I did not have the energy to run around and play with her. Now I have the energy. Like I can keep up with her. I can run. Even at work as a teacher, like I can be in the yard with the kids running around and not get tired. Whereas before, I wouldn't even want to go downstairs for recess. But now I can handle it. So as a parent or as a teacher or even as an aunt or uncle, just having the ability to run around and keep up with kids is so fulfilling. I'm so like grateful for that because it's definitely something that was hindering me before surgery. The next con I have on my list is something that definitely bothers me, and that's people not noticing the weight loss. And this goes back into mental health because, you know, people not noticing your weight loss could be that they look at you and they don't see a difference. It could also just be that they look at you, they do see a difference, but don't mention it because maybe they think it's rude to mention someone's weight loss, or maybe they think that they just don't want to say anything. Maybe they feel uncomfortable saying something, whatever the reason, or maybe they just genuinely noticed it, but it slipped their mind to say something. Like people are human, they're allowed to do that. But whatever the reason is, for me, I noticed really being sad when I would walk into a room of people who hadn't seen me for a while and not immediately get a response from them that shows that they noticed my weight loss. I know that like even still right now, like I'll go see somebody that hasn't seen me in a while, and if they don't mention it, like I'll be like, yeah, validation. Like now I feel that my body dysmorphia is being validated and I really don't look better, and I feel sad. But the pro to that is when they do notice it, it feels really good. Like you feel like, yeah, like, yes, I did lose weight. Yeah, I did. And you feel a little bit of confidence boost from that. Now, I hate to say that like someone else's opinion can alter your confidence, but we're humans. That's just true. So I know for me, when other people compliment me and tell me that they notice that I've lost weight, it makes me feel really good about myself, and it's definitely a positive feeling. I love it. My next con is something that I recently started noticing, and that is loose skin. So loose skin is one of those things that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. For the most part, almost everybody that's had bariatric surgery is going to experience some sort of loose skin, whether they like it or not. It's just because you are losing weight really, really rapidly, and your body needs to be able to catch up to that, and it can't. So your skin is not going to snap back the way that it did. There are certain factors that may contribute to you having less loose skin than other people or more loose skin than other people. But regardless, I believe that everybody will experience some sort of loose skin, whether it's intense or not. I'm not too worried about it only because I'm of the mindset that if I do experience an intense amount of loose skin, I'm just going to have the surgery to remove it, whether that's through an arm lift or a tummy tuck or a breast lift or a thigh lift or whatever I need. I'm fine with getting follow-up surgeries to address those things because at the end of the day, I want to be confident in my body. So if I have to get those surgeries, I will. I'm not concerned about it. And tied with that, the pro to that is that those surgeries exist. So there are surgeries to remove the loose skin. So even though the loose skin itself is a con and can make you feel down because you've lost all this weight and are still not confident in your body, there's the surgeries that can relieve that from you. So the reason that I see the surgeries themselves as a pro is that you have that peace of mind of knowing that if you do experience an excessive amount of loose skin, it's not the end of the world. Like, you can do stuff to get rid of it. And also, depending on how bad it is, insurance might even cover the skin removal if it's something that is impairing you. So definitely, the fact that the surgery exists is a pro. The surgeries, regardless of whatever you need, and the fact that it might even be covered by insurance is definitely a pro, because free, we love free. The next con is something that is so annoying, and that's just because of how, like, your body, you get trained to do certain things and it just becomes like muscle memory, and that is eating and drinking at the same time. So if you did not know, after surgery, you cannot eat and drink at the same time. Like, for example, for me, before surgery, I would like eat some food and I'm like drinking my juice or my water as I'm eating, and that was just normal for me. But now I have to wait 30 minutes before or after to be able to drink or eat. So if I drink some water, I can't eat for another 30 minutes. If I burps, if I eat some food, I can't drink anything for about 30 minutes. And that can get really annoying, not because of anything other than it's just like muscle memory. Like, I'm just so accustomed to doing that trying to retrain my brain to not need to drink as I eat is really difficult. And to be honest with you, sometimes I forget and I drink something while I'm eating, and woo, the pain that is associated with that is pretty bad. It's like a tightening that is really painful and uncomfortable. It does pass after a while, but it's a quick reminder that's like, hey, don't do that. My pro for that, which is 100% not associated with eating or drinking, is just the next pro on my list. And that is being able to walk upstairs. And okay, so for me, I'm a teacher. Like I said, I work in a school building. My classroom is on the 3rd floor. My classroom actually used to be on the 4th floor, but now I'm on the 3rd floor. And I can now get upstairs without passing out. Before surgery, it used to be a struggle to get upstairs like, I'd be out of breath by the time I got upstairs. Now I can go up and down them stairs with no issue, and that is so great. Also, if you keep up with my videos, I recently bought a house, and if you watch that video, go watch that video. But if you watch that video already, you know that my house has a lot of stairs in it. And while that is still pretty challenging because I'm not accustomed to living somewhere with this much stairs, it is getting easier to be able to go up and down the stairs. So that is a huge pro, because I know that is to do with losing weight. I'm just able to move my body in a way that I just was not able to move it before. So my next con is something that I have not experienced yet, and that is hair loss. And this is something that everybody dreads when getting the surgery. Everybody knows that hair loss is a possibility. I'm only 2 months post-op. Usually hair loss happens around the 4-month mark. So it's not something that I've had to encounter yet, although I'm pretty sure that I will have to encounter some sort of hair loss. I am trying my hardest. I want to be able to avoid as much of it as possible. But I know that like loose skin, it comes with the territory. You're good. If you're going to get it, you're going to get it. If you don't, then you're lucky. So it's not something I'm too worried about. Like, worst case scenario, I'll invest in some really good wigs for a while until my hair goes back. I mean, I don't want to lose my hair. I love my hair. I think my hair is beautiful. But if it happens, it's part of the process. And I'm just grateful to be able to have done this for myself. And I think this is one of the best decisions I ever made. So with anything that is amazing, it always is going to come with some sort of drawbacks. So if that's hair loss, so be it. It'll grow back. We'll be fine. But I really do hope it doesn't happen to me. My pro here, which is not related to hair loss, but it's just loving yourself again. And I know for me, my story, a little bit of my story is I haven't been big my whole life. My weight has fluctuated my whole life. I have PCOS, and that is one of the main things with PCOS, that weight fluctuation. And for me, whenever I was at my heaviest, I was the least confident. I was always very self-conscious. I had very negative ideas about myself. And this is even like right before surgery. I did not see myself as beautiful. I did not love my body. I was always hiding my body. I was always very, I just was lacking confidence. And with this surgery, it's still a work in progress. But every single day, I'm noticing being so much more comfortable in myself and loving myself so much more. So it is just such a good feeling to start to like feel like myself again. Like when I was at my heaviest, I would look in the mirror and I didn't even recognize who that person was. It wasn't someone that I felt like was me. And as a result, I wasn't taking care of that person. But now looking in the mirror and being like, I know her. This is a girl that I recognize. And it's causing me to feel so much more confident in myself and love myself so much more. So I'm just so grateful to the surgery, to being able to restore that in me and making me like fall in love with myself again. And I feel like I'm falling in love with a new version of myself. It's not even the same as the girl that I knew before and was confident before. This is like a whole new person. I'm like learning myself. I'm building a relationship with myself in my new form. I'm loving myself and relearning how to love myself, and it is just an amazing experience to be going through. This one is going to be my last con, and this con I feel like I've validated throughout this entire video, and that is the constant burping. You've seen throughout the video, it just happens out of nowhere. I feel like it's when I talk too much. Like obviously I'm doing a video, so I'm talking a lot. It happens then. It happens if I drink too much. It happens if I eat too much. But I'm just either constantly burping or constantly feeling like I have to burp and there's just not a burp coming out. It's the weirdest thing. I know that other people who have had this surgery say the same thing, but it's weird. I hate it. And my last pro is really just dedicated to you all, to everybody watching this video, and people who haven't run across my videos yet, just the VSG community as a whole. This is the kind of thing that when you go through this process, you need support. It's not the kind of thing you want to do on your own. And this VSG community is so warm and welcoming, so supportive, that it feels like having an internet-based support group that is just really got your back. Like people in this community are so willing to help each other, so willing to support each other, so willing to give words of affirmation to each other. And not just YouTubers like myself. Literally, you can go into the Facebook support groups. You can go on Instagram and just search hashtag VSG and find people. You'll see most people who've had this surgery have VSG in their bio, and you can hit them up and they'll answer you. It could be through YouTube with people like me, or just like through friends that have had it. But people who have had this surgery are such a supportive community. I rarely ever see negative comments on my YouTube channel. I rarely ever see negative comments in the Facebook support groups that I'm a part of. People are just so willing to help and encourage each other that just being a part, having access to this community makes having a surgery like this so much easier, because you have so many people you can turn to with questions or concerns or just a shoulder to cry on or to talk to. Well, a virtual shoulder, because these are internet people. But it's just so comforting to know that you are not alone in this. And with that, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a video from me. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.